everybody. This is Fandom Entanglement, Quantum Leap. I am Damon Sugamelli. Mike is probably going to join us in a little while. He's not here yet, so he'll jump in when he comes on. But right now, these are my co-hosts, Brian Green, MJ Cogburn, and joining us from the Corman Productions Deep Dive TV podcast is Stacy Wilcox. Hello, Stacy.
Hey.
Hey, how are you doing? We talked a little bit before, like a few months ago, about you maybe joining us when the show came back because you weren't. We went through like a little conversation and stuff. So you're like, yeah, I think we can make this. I think we could swing it to find some time.
And here we are.
So yeah, here we are. So I don't know. Tell everybody a little bit about. Now Dave is your co-host. Tell us a little bit about.
So, like you said, Corman Productions Deep Dive TV podcast is our show, and that is hosted on Dave's YouTube channel, which is just called Corman Productions. He does have other stuff on there in addition to our podcast. But we, of course, cover Quantum Leap, and we cover a few other shows as well. We do From on MGM Plus, which is kind of a horror show. And we do Sullivan's Crossing, which is airing on the CW. And we're now covering the new NBC sitcom Extended Family. So that's the stuff we're currently covering. And there's some other odds and ends that get thrown in the mix every once in a while. So we keep busy.
Very cool.
Yeah,
that's
I know
awesome.
you do. Yeah, I know you do the original show too when you're not doing the current one of Quantum Leap. So
Yeah.
Yeah. So for anybody who may not be aware, I wanted to bring it up before we got into the discussion. If you were big, into the Quantum Leap fandom, I'm sure you've heard by now, and I did a video on it myself, a tribute that Matt Dale of the Quantum Leap podcast unfortunately passed away. It was like Christmas morning, I believe, and I know a lot of us still miss him. I did my own dedication video to him. I know, Brian, you were part of that when they did their like with the Quantum Leap podcast with the tribute with Sam Fain, Fate's Why Wheel, and it was like Albie and Chris and a few of them. I know you guys included me on there too. The video I did, and Stacy, you sent something in that as well. So if anybody's interested, they can watch that. I will link that. I just wanted to get that out there because I'm going to dedicate the rest of this, these last 5 episodes to him. So I know he would have really liked to have been watching all this. He was like the foremost expert on Quantum Leap. I got my books here. So, I don't know what's going to happen with updates to this book, and I don't know what's going to happen with Volume 3. I know you were, Brian, I know you've been in touch with people about seeing if we're going to try to get that book finished for him somehow.
Hopefully one day.
Yeah. I want to be part of that too. Yeah. And I will also mention too that your forums, Brian, you have the new Al's Place.
Yes.
Community.
Yes, it is open. It's completely upgraded. There's all kinds of bells and whistles on there. It's a lot of fun. I'd love to have a lot of people come and check it out, and they are. So, which is great.
There's a new chat spot, so it's really cool. You can talk to everybody.
Yeah, you can do instant messaging on the chat, in a private message on the chat room, and so it's pretty cool. A lot of fun things. So come and take a look.
Yeah, I'll have a link to that. I think I always do anyway. Yeah, and I was posting the reviews for this too. So like I kind of updated everything, and we'll share there now. So anyway, we are back with Quantum Leap finally. It didn't take as long as I thought it would. So
yeah.
I thought it was going to be a few months. So we're back with Season 2, Episode 9, Off the Cuff. That is the title. It originally aired January 30th, 2024. And the 2-hour season finale will be on the 20th, February. I still don't know how we're going to do that, but that's going to be a rough week for me. But anyway, our synopsis: when Ben leaps into a bounty hunter, escorting the world's most slippery criminal. A deadly pursuit forces them to go into hiding. But Ben quickly realizes this leap is more than meets the eye. Addison faces a difficult decision. Was it really a difficult decision, though? I don't know. It didn't seem.
It really wasn't.
It didn't seem to be for her.
A difficult decision at all.
Our main cast, we got everybody. Raymond Lee as Dr. Ben Song, Caitlin Bassett as Addison Augustine, Mason Alexander Park as Ian Wright, Nanrissa Lee as Jen Chu, Eliza Taylor as Hannah Carson, Peter Gadillo as Tom Westwell, and Ernie Hudson as Herbert Magic Williams. The guest cast includes David Clayton Rogers, and what's his name? Kevin Zatt? Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Zatt.
Zatt.
Right.
Yeah, Josh Dean as Josh Nally. Nally, I don't know how you pronounce it. Connor Esterson as Jeffrey Nally. That's his son, right? Yeah, Jeffrey. Right. And Alicia Logano as Elena Carr. This episode was written by Alex Berger. He wrote The Friendly Skies last season. Directed by Joe Menendez. That is I don't think I've seen that director for Quantum Leap yet. So that's the first one. Our leap date is April 10th, 1970, as we saw on the newspaper on the front, right, blowing on the windshield. It's in Trenton, New Jersey, or outside Trenton, and our Ben has leaped into Nick Peterson. Okay, so I guess Stacey, since you're a guest, first impressions, what you thought of the episode.
Okay, sure. So I'll just say I liked this episode a lot more than I expected to. And I'll tell you a little bit what I mean by that. Usually I don't like action. Like, I'm not an action fan in general. So whenever there's, chases and lots of fighting and all this, the bad guys are chasing the good guys, I get bored, right? So I don't usually like those. And I also really don't like the 70s. So anytime we're in the 70s, I'm like, not interested. But even though all of those things are like, no, I shouldn't like this, I had fun with it. I know you guys were talking before we started recording that it was predictable, and yeah, it was. But I don't know, somehow it all kind of just felt okay for me, even though there's all these things that I'm saying are these reasons I shouldn't like it. I mean, a lot of it probably comes down to Hannah. I like Hannah. I love Eliza Taylor, so even though maybe not everyone's going to love where we're at with her at this moment in time, I like seeing her and having her just, be there. So that probably helped it for me. I'm sure some other people who are looking for a really action-packed episode are going to be like, why is she here ruining it, But yeah, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. I saw a lot of references or like little nods to other movies and media, and I enjoy that, when you can pull in all these little things that it's like, oh, that reminds me of this and this reminds me of that. Even so much as the direct connections we have to A Hunting We Will Go, which is not an episode I love. But when we, last time we had a Bounty Hunting episode, Decent Proposal, that's where you went, right? You're like, oh, that's where we're going to compare it to, the Bounty Hunter episode. And of course, there was no connective tissue there at all. And now we have it. This one, there's several moments where I'm like, oh, that's 100% intentional, right? This is directly taken out of A Hunting We Will Go, which again, not an episode I love, but just seeing those direct connections, I'm like, okay, I can appreciate the fact that they're paying homage to, the classic Quantum Leap of it.
Okay. I'll
leave it there
Brian.
For now.
Okay. I usually save MJ for last, so Brian.
I really had I really had fun with it. I liked the episode. I liked kind of the nostalgia of it, like you said, with The Hunting We Will Go, and even her charm, would be another one that kind of falls into that place. And so, as a fan of the original series, I already knew those storylines. So even though it was sort of predictable about that part, I still liked it because of that. But I'll tell you what I didn't like. I didn't like the connection to like Piano Man, where the bad guy was, on the phone. So that was also a parallel, but I didn't like it because it kind of ruined it for me. But as a person who has only seen this series, that was probably okay for them, I would think. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But I didn't like that because it sort of ruined that part of it real early on for me. I do like Hannah. I know a lot of people are back and forth on that, but I'm also a Hannah fan. So when she appeared, that was a surprise to me. I wasn't expecting that at that moment. Anyway.
I didn't get any surprise from it at all. Okay. I realized that she was going to be there.
Right.
I knew it.
I didn't know she would be married to Josh. That's for sure. So I didn't see that coming. So that was kind of a neat thing. The where she's married and then trying to still talk to Ben like she was. That was a little weird, but people do what they want to do, I guess. So anyway, I still liked it. I liked all the Christmas movie references, like
you're gonna shoot your eye out.
Yeah, Christmas Story.
No, I want an officer right undercover knife and 200 my rifle.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Even like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, riding in the car. And then what was the other one? Even Home Alone, like in the basement, the snap trap. Even calls out Evan a couple of times. That was kind of funny. So I don't know if that episode maybe was slated for a Christmas time or what, but that was pretty neat. But overall, yep, I liked it, and I think you could probably watch it over. The car chases and things. I agree with you, Stacey. I don't like a lot of car chases that go on and on and on. But we only have 42 minutes, so they usually keep it pretty quick. And I like this one, especially with the Mustang and the Chevelle. I hated to see both of those cars get wrecked because. But anyway, I was good with it. I hope they kind of keep the momentum going. We're probably going to see a lot more of Hannah, although we'll get to next week's episode and why I think we may not, but we'll see.
Yeah. You mentioned the Mustang thing. I was watching. I was like, yeah, that's a Mustang. It's like I'm thinking of my son. Daddy, Mustang. I'm like, yes, you're absolutely right, Ciro. His thing is cars, and I didn't know anything about cars until my son started, just repeating, showing me, look, Toyota, Honda, look, all this stuff. I'm like, yep, there's a Mustang. And that license plate. Geez, I just had it here on my notes. Oh, I find them.
I find them, yeah.
I jumped ahead a little bit about that. To that. Kind of saying what you guys were, my first thought when I first read the synopsis was, didn't we do this already with the bounty hunter thing? It's like, we just did this last season. I mean, it's not exactly like that, but yeah, shades of A Hunting We Will Go, really more during the first half, I think, of the episode. Not so much the second half. It seemed to veer off a little bit. But I did I liked it. I think I liked it a little bit more. I watched it again, so maybe a little bit more that time. My thoughts on the main character of Kevin, I wasn't sure if I found him to be funny or annoying.
It was that radical selfishness.
Radical selfishness,
yes.
Which Hannah seemed to take on a bit of that too in that episode.
Yeah. And then even Ben at the end, he says, maybe I should focus on myself, more.
Yeah, I have that in my notes. It seems to be
radical
a little
selfishness.
Maybe this is part of the underlying theme that's going on. But MJ, we'll I don't know if you're going to be repeating what we're saying, but what were your initial thoughts of this?
Well, at first I watched it just to watch it, just to see what would happen. And, when we learned last year that Hannah was going to be a recurring character on the show, and then he kisses her and all this stuff, I was like, okay. So before I started this episode, I thought, okay, when is Hannah going to come in? And how is that going to play into the leap? And we didn't also get another leap out, unfortunately.
Oh, I know.
Which really sucks.
I know, it annoys the crap out of me, I know.
But I thought when I first watched it, I was like, okay, a little bit of action, a lot of heart. Figured that the I forgot her name. I think
Elena.
her last name was Carr.
Yeah, Elena, the bail bondsman. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That I knew that she was going to be the bad guy from the get-go. Yeah. And then when we got to see the guy's brother, I was like, how's this going to fall into it? You know? Mm-hmm. And then we find out that he's Hannah's husband, who unfortunately dies of an aneurysm at the end. Mm-hmm. Which Ben tries to save it, tries to go tell Hannah, but of course he leaps. Mm-hmm. So that's how he'll be able to come back, which she told him to come back anytime.
Yeah, that's we'll get back to that. I'm trying to figure that out now myself. I had an idea where
I did think it was really neat that she and her son built that generator.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
At home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like a turbine.
For the most part, I thought that just it was predictable.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
and of course think... the very last thing is Addison's big commitment that she has to make.
Yeah.
You didn't have to get down on a knee.
Oh, anyway, yeah. All right. Well, I know we jumped ahead a little bit with stuff, but oh no, that's okay. Well, I guess I'll say that too. Maybe not the first time I saw Elena, but then when he called her again, or I don't know whatever it was. I think the second time he called her, he's like, "Yeah, where are you?" Or all that stuff. I'm like, "Yep, she's in on it. She's that's where it's like, yep, that reminded me of the old show. I'm like, yep, she's the bad guy. She needs to know where he is. She's tracking him or whatever." But the whole thing with
was it predictable because we all know what happened before? Is that why?
Probably.
Do you think?
Maybe.
I know it is for me.
Yeah, it could be because I felt like I've seen it before. I wonder
if a new viewer would have picked it up. I guess that would be interesting.
It's a good point because
this season, if a new, very first time viewer,
like somebody who hasn't seen Quantum Leap before,
right?
That's a good point, Brian.
I don't know because there are too many references to so many different movies and everything that we've seen. Matt hasn't seen the show. I'm sure he would have said, she's he would have picked up on it quickly just from experience. So
you think it's just the kind of writing that they're doing? It's just predictable writing?
Yep.
Yeah, possibly. Well, I thought the one thing these are things that like stuck out for me. It was like, well, first of all, I love when he. I mean, we'll mention. I love the song that comes on right away. Is Can't Get No Satisfaction. Yeah. When we started out with what was it, Jumpin' Jack Flash in the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
I love what he said because he's a smoker, the guy that Ben leaped into, and he's like this, and Kevin's like, this car reeks. It's like Keith Richards bathed in an ashtray. I thought that was a really great one. I was cracking up laughing. I'm like, yeah. But the first thing I thought of when they get out of the car, and he's talking to the bail bondsman, and he's like looking at, I guess when he finds out what the year it is, and he's like, "Hey, do me a favor, find the name Hannah Carson." I'm like, "Really, Ben? Like, really? This is the first thing you're thinking of doing? Like, you're already getting off track. Like, you don't even know why you're here yet, and you're more worried about this." I understand that there's a storyline they're trying to tell, but we've complained in the past when we feel like there's two shows competing with each other in the Leap
Yeah.
story and the Project story. So now it's like we have two competing stories in the Leap itself. So I'm like,
So it makes it 3 storylines in all.
yeah, that's kind of my issue with, and then we said with the time constraints and 42 minutes, and it's like, I don't know.
Actually, it's turning into 4. You have the actual Leap.
Mm-hmm.
You have Tom and Hannah. I mean, Tom and Addison.
Yeah,
I can't think of their names.
I don't know.
But
Jen
you
and,
get
Jen
there.
and Jen and Ian, or when they're talking about stuff, or
Yeah.
Well, the whole
There's too many separate
chip
things going on at the same time.
Storyline, which I don't know where this is going. Did they even mention it this time? I don't know.
What was that?
The whole chip storyline, which is like,
oh yeah, I'm waiting for that to.
I don't know where the heck that's going.
There's got to be a connection coming up somewhere.
Has to be, yeah. Stacey, you've been. I don't know where. What do you think about?
It's going to come down to possibly Hannah figuring out how to fix it.
Probably, I don't know. Stacey, what have you been thinking about the story so far for the season?
Yeah, it's different, right? Because first season we had this very direct story. We knew what we were trying to get to, and now we're just like, what are we doing? You know, we're at the same time we're not just focused on the Leap, so it is a little. I feel like I can't really form an opinion on the season until we see where it lands. You know, as far as like how the story is going, because I'm not really sure like where we're at.
Yeah.
And if they don't all start tying together in the next few episodes, I think, something might fall flat there with the overall story. But I think there's still enough time for them to make it all kind of connect. So I'm just waiting for that. I'll play devil's advocate a little bit to your point about, your frustration with Ben looking for Hannah in the moment that he did. Remember the very last thing that happened with him before he leaped into this car is he had just finished promising her, "I promise I'll look for you so that you don't have to spend your whole life looking for me." And I think the fact that he made that promise to her is really what allowed her to move on and meet this man, marry him, start a family, because she's not side-eyeing every single person she walks past saying, "Are you Ben?" Because he promised he would be the one to reach out. And, he's the type of person, he's not going to go back on a promise. He promised he'll look for her next time, so he's going to look for her. And I think what really pushed that moment is the newspaper came onto the phone booth, and it said, "We're in Trenton, New Jersey." That's 20 minutes from Princeton. So he's like, "Oh, I'm here. She must be right here. So I must be here to find her. That's why I'm here." I'm sure he thought proximity-wise, that's it, because it was right after he saw that he brought her name up, right after he saw Trenton. And I think if, if he was in Albuquerque or something, it would have been a little more weird if he's asking, "Where's Hannah?" But for proximity, he's probably expecting her to pop up because, 3 of his last 6 leaps, there was Hannah. And now he's right in her backyard. So I'm sure, he was like, "Oh, this must have something to do with her." And it did,
That was a
in
good
a
point.
roundabout way.
Yeah, because because the last time was so I'm thinking the last one was Cairo, and I'm like, he's all the way across the world, but I forgot that the whole New Jersey thing and Princeton, and that's a good point. And he's realizing that she has to be here. Okay.
I do think they're doing a better job with more Leap story. Project time is probably 6 minutes, maybe somewhere in there for the whole episode. So that didn't bother me as much anymore. So I think they really are listening, about that. Here comes Mike.
Oh, here's Mike.
Yay, Mike.
Yay, Mike! Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm joining late.
Yeah, and we're having issues tonight with our recording. What else is new? All right, we talked a little bit, Mike. What were your first impressions of this episode?
Well, when I heard it was a bounty hunter again, I was like, didn't we just do this in season 1?
That's what I said.
Yeah, so we're going to have to do this every season now, where Ben leaps into a bounty hunter. But what I did like was how they called it out, where the first thing he said was, "I'm a bounty hunter again."
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
And I think someone else commented on it too, so they were self-aware at least.
Yeah.
On the whole, I
Addison.
thought it was
Addison,
right?
Go
Yeah, it was
ahead.
Addison.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I was just going to say, on the whole, I thought it was a really good leap, and then they threw the Hannah stuff in, and
and then they threw it in.
I'm sorry, I'm just not in love with this Hannah storyline stuff.
Oh, okay, all right.
I was hoping, I think Damon, you mentioned before, I was hoping they would jump around within her timeline or her lifeline, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Lifetime? Within her lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be out of order for Ben, or in order for Ben, but out of order for her, you know what I mean? But I can see why they might not want to do that, because it would get maybe a little confusing.
Well, we'll get back to some of my thoughts on that, but we'll get back to that.
Yeah. But anyhow, that's my quick assessment of the episode.
Okay.
Good story, started to get involved or get engaged with the characters, and then kind of sidelined a bit by the Hannah stuff. But
yeah. Well, I said it before you came on, that I feel like now the Leap is getting a little sidetracked with another story.
Yeah.
We have like the two project story, Leap story going on, and now it's like within the Leap.
Right.
There's four storylines going on.
Mm-hmm.
Ben and Addison,
Mm-hmm.
Addison and Tom, Ben and Hannah, and the Leap.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, 5 if you continue talk about the chip. So
we don't know where that's going. So
we don't know where that's going.
Yeah. Yeah, Jen and that's in my notes. So Jen and Ian basically are recapping to each other the whole, and just in case you missed the previously on segment, and in case you haven't been seeing every episode when we talk about this, they're doing the same thing. What do you think this is like for them? And I did notice that Jen is like, well, I can't say I've been in this exact scenario, but this one time, and he's like, wait, hold that thought. What is this, Jen? What is this one time? I'm interested. What is this about?
I wonder if they're going to have to do that every time to explain to people what's going on.
I know we're not that. I know they're talking to an audience that maybe has a short attention span, but like most of us, we don't have that short of an attention span. At least I would
think
hope
it's
not.
called radical selfishness.
Radical selfishness. I did want to mention that I know we talked about our favorite lines, but since we were kind of going in that, I like how Magic was saying, "Oh, Ian, just do your little clickety clack." Please tell me that you don't actually think that's how that works. I did think that was a real funny line. It's just like Ian's just like. I guess we could talk about the radical selfishness thing, because that's next in my notes. I mean, we kind of said that already. That seems to be the underlying storyline, maybe that we're dealing with is Ben is. Yeah, I like Hannah's realized that she can't have Ben all to herself. I'm feeling this is almost like a Superman thing, where Lois is like, I can't. The world, you belong to the world, so I can't just have you all to myself. You have a higher purpose. Mm-hmm. It feels like almost like a. I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching with that Lois and Clark allegory. I don't know. I was getting the impression of that, that's where we were going with all of this, and then it's like, and Ben is just kind of wrestling with his own radical selfishness that when it comes to his own happiness. So I see where they're going. But
that was the theme of this whole episode.
Yeah, right.
Everybody has their own selfishness going on. The criminal, Ben, Hannah, Tom, and Addison. Everybody has their own thing going on.
Yeah. Before I forget about it, because it's not in my notes, I guess what I'll say is how I feel where they're going with this is it seems like the story is maybe taking a 180 sometimes. That's kind of where my problem is, where like we saw it with like the finale, like season 1 finale. He gave us this whole you thought that like Ben and Addison's relationship was going to be even stronger because of the way the leap in 2018 ended, and it's like, oh, like everything, like they started dating like even earlier, and it's like, oh, this is really great. And then like the very next episode, it just gets completely thrown for a 180. And like, oh, now it's 3 years have passed, and like what? And now I feel like it's the same thing. In the last episode, I know you mentioned it, Stacey, how the previous, like we just had him talking to Addison about, I'm gonna find you, and she's been talking about
he was talking to Hannah.
Yeah, about like she's been waiting for him, and now it's like she actually has moved on, which I found realistic, but at the same point I'm like, didn't you guys just talk about being star-crossed lovers and all this? And that's kind of where I'm like going with this, is like they just sort of turned this on its ear. I wasn't quite expecting this direction of the story.
Yeah.
I know, MJ, you said it was a little predictable, but I kind of didn't.
I thought it was predictable all the way throughout it.
Yeah.
I mean, with him like Stacey said earlier, with him promising that he will contact her from the last leap to this leap, he sees the paper, wants to get her number. Then hopefully he's going to find her. That's what he's hoping for.
Yeah.
And then it goes into, then you find out about her being married, and it's 9 years later, and she has a kid, and it's just frustrating to me how predictable this whole thing was. And at the very end, where Josh is going to die, ruptured aortic aneurysm, and he tries to tell Hannah. Still predictable.
And leaps before he can tell her. Yeah.
Because how is she just told him, come back anytime. You know where I live now. Come back anytime. So anytime he jumps into that area, he'll be there.
Yeah, it allows them to just pick up where they left off, right? But also, we don't have that sadness of, oh, she waited her whole life for him and never did anything else. Because, oh, she did get married and she had a kid.
Just what you were saying there, Stacey, about we get to see Hannah does kind of move on, gets married, has a child. I think she forgot about Ben pretty quickly after that promise to wait for him, because 9 years ago was Cairo. The child is 7.
Yeah.
So
right.
somewhere
That's
in the
what I was
span of 2 years, she got married, got pregnant.
That's what I was thinking, Mike.
Was it the next day?
Right. I don't
When
think
she
she
got
forgot
back to the
about
States.
him, though. I
Yeah.
think she still has this philosophy, like, I have enough room to love both of you, so why should I wait?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Which is what she
Yeah.
says.
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Do we know that Jeffrey is Josh's son?
Please, no, Brian.
No,
Don't
Brian.
make anybody think that. No, it
He's
is.
7.
Yeah.
He's 7.
Uh-huh.
It was 9 years. Cairo was 9 years ago.
Right.
There's no way a woman will have a kid in her belly for 2 years. It won't happen. I promise you.
But like that's going to
But
be all over the internet. Everybody asking that question.
uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if Ben leaps, into that time frame at some point?
Oh,
And
you're saying about he's going to
Brian,
leap, and oh no,
I'm going to
oh
strangle
God.
you.
What if he leaps into Jeffrey?
You can.
Yeah, you can love. There is no limit to love,
Yeah.
which was a good line. I did like that line a lot. That was something
Yeah,
I
she
wanted
does
to
say
bring
it's been 9 years, so I guess she hasn't seen him
It was
since then.
It was 1961 when they last met.
Yeah.
Now it's 1970. So that should rule out any Sammy Joe type
Yeah.
pregnancies.
Right. Maybe.
Maybe.
We're taught that love is finite, but it's not. Every parent knows that. You have a child, your heart expands. Look around, Ben. Look at the world the same way you look at time. There's no limit to love.
That was a good line.
Yeah, no, that was another great line. Well, I thought it was a good line that when Josh told his that his son courage is a choice. I thought that was a good one.
Sure.
Yeah. I just want to get these out of the way in case we have more issues. We're having all these issues. And then the other line, I know we're kind of jumping around. That wasn't my intention. When Ben tells Kevin, sometimes if you want the universe to give you something, you have to give it something first. Like, yeah, okay, I see that. That's something that Amada reminds me sometimes. It's like, yeah, sometimes you have to give something back. I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it.
Which leads into Magic's quote that's help is not a 4-letter word.
Actually, it is.
But it actually is.
Actually, it is. Yeah, I know what I wanted to say with the limit to love thing. I guess as I'm rewatching that, it did resonate with me now when she's talking about when you're a parent, like you said, MJ, and yeah, I get that now. But you think that you're only capable of so much love, and like that love really does expand, and so I do like that they're doing I do like the message that they're trying to say in this. I guess as we were saying before, though, it's where we kind of left off before things got weird with the recording I'm losing track where oh God, what were we saying?
I had said something about do we know that Jeffrey is Josh's
Oh yeah, no,
Just,
we don't want to go back to that.
Cut that.
Yeah, no, yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I just there were just I think overall I did like I know we're jumping around a bit. There were just like a lot of those humorous moments. As I was saying, I didn't know if Kevin was annoying or funny. He did have funny lines like when when Ben is talking to Addison and he's talking about his ex and he's like, oh, she's a good woman and she deserves a good man, and he's like he's like starting to like fake vomit.
I'm sure there were a lot of people who were watching that were thinking the same thing.
Yeah. And then
because we're going back to the Ben Addison.
Yeah, I know. We can't go a single episode without it. And then I thought you believed that I wasn't selfish. Well, I'm an optimist, not an idiot.
I like that one too.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is not exactly how I expected our fourth date to go.
Yeah, so that's why he's saying that they've really been on 3 dates. He's really considering like even like that 1949. He's considering that a date. He just met her in New Mexico. He's considering that a date, huh?
Yeah, because he told her everything about him in that first date.
I guess. But she didn't even know who he was, and she still doesn't even know who he she doesn't see his face. This is kind of my issue with it. Is
And then she says, "But I've had worse."
right.
Haven't we all?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, when she walked through the door, it was at the halfway point, and then we hear her voice, and it's coming home, and there's that convenient lens flare with the camera or whatever zooming in on Ben's face. I'm like, no, it is. So that's why I said I didn't quite think that Hannah was actually. I think what I initially thought was that she was maybe going to show up at the end, they were going to see each other in passing at the end, because I didn't think that she really was going to have anything to do with the sleep. It didn't seem like she did, but then once she showed up, I'm like, oh no, here we go. So that's
I was the opposite. I was like, oh yes, here we go. Stacy's agreeing
Right,
with
I
me.
think you and I align a lot with our opinions.
Well, I'm just saying this is where the show's going, so I'm just going to flow with it, and it's fine. It's fine with me. I do think there's going to be something with Jeffrey. I think there's something there. I don't know exactly what it is, but there's going to be, because she said he's a really special kid and he's smart like her, and
I have a prediction.
Hydroelectric in the living. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
I am pretty sure that Jeffrey is Rachel's boss.
Ah.
Oh.
Ooh.
I like it. Okay.
And I thought that as soon as Kevin was like, this kid's going to rule the world one day. And I went, oh, wait.
Yeah. I like it.
Huh.
All right. We'll see what happens. That's cool.
Which brings in the chip.
Yeah, that would bring it back together. Mm-hmm.
And maybe he's trying to save his dad's life.
Maybe.
Oh, okay. But now, so but relatively speaking, didn't this? So here we go down the rabbit hole with the rules of Quantum Leap. When did the chip show up? Wasn't this before he met Hannah?
Yes.
So how does that work?
Time travel, David. Time travel.
No.
Well, maybe Hannah was always going
Paradox.
to meet Josh.
That's true.
Maybe.
We don't know that. We don't know if they met in the original timeline.
Yeah, maybe.
Good point, Stacy. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because they
think this is where I'll get into
what was supposed to happen with her.
We don't know much about what her original history was before Ben got involved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she could have stayed a waitress,
Yeah.
Who knows?
Okay.
Had he not given her that phone number?
Yeah, he changed the timeline when he gave her the phone number.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
That set it all off.
But, if there's
Mhm.
fate involved with, her supposed to have this kid, maybe that part still stayed the same. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think once he gave her that phone number, that's why he keeps bumping back into her, because the accelerator, GTF dubs, whatever, is putting her back with him to even this out somewhere.
Well, the accelerator apparently has sentience. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
It's a thing that got invented two episodes ago, right?
Yeah. Well, what about the DARPA project?
I know you can't really see my eyes very well, so let me do it this way.
Yeah. What were we saying? What we think about the DARPA project
What
thing?
about it?
I don't know.
On the screen, it does show that, I guess the present time in the computer is 1967.
Yes.
Was it 67, 62, something?
Right. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, and it kept saying this is the beginning of the retrieval program. Isn't that what it said?
I
don't know about retrieval.
I don't know.
Entry level something.
Yeah, it's got a destination time, but there's nothing in it. It's just like the current time is 1960 something.
Yeah, I think it said 67. Yeah. That's what I mean. I have no idea what that's supposed to mean. Yeah, I wish I
Because
had a
I
little bit of
paused
a.
it on that picture to look at it and
Yeah,
read
I
it
wish I
because it
had a
kept
little bit of a.
repeating.
Yeah, like a
And
clearer idea of where they're going, and I thought by now we would, and
yeah,
I.
Tom made a point of saying the engineers were not named, so
Mhm.
very
Yeah,
interesting.
I think Stacy's onto something though.
yeah,
Mhm. That's a good
maybe.
guess.
He's got to be
Yeah.
related somehow
Mhm.
to something.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. This
He built
I
the
had I.
generator with his mom, which
Mhm.
kind of correlates with a computer program. So
Yeah,
I
it
had
builds
yeah.
on
He'd
itself.
be
That's it.
63 in 2026.
Sure,
Okay.
it fits.
Okay. Yeah, I had ideas of where I thought the story was going, and then like half of that got thrown out the window with this episode. Because now it feels like this love story really is destined just to fail. Like I thought they were kind of leaning towards somehow they're going to make this a happy ending for both of them, but like no, she's moved on. So now what? It's like and now I guess it centers around trying to save Josh. I mean, do we think we're actually going to see Josh again, or is he going to? I mean, it's like what 18 months he's going to die.
Mhm.
I can't see him appearing again. I don't even know how I felt about his character, to be honest. I wasn't anything
He was just a
special
good
to me.
guy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
a
that
good parent.
yeah. So does that mean that now this gives her an excuse to look for Ben again and wait
Yeah.
for him?
Of course.
Yep.
She's gonna wait for him.
I guess so. I know one
And
thing I
with
wanted
him
to.
being gone, that
Yeah.
leaves the door open for him to come back.
Yeah, I guess so. So I guess it probably it is good, Stacey. It's a good theory. It probably revolves around the sun and something to do with that. And I'm just wondering where the rest of this story is going, because we only have 4 episodes left. So I think we had I think we covered a lot of like the main things we wanted to talk about. I guess I don't want to
No,
risk
we
going
didn't
too
talk
long,
about
but
Tom and Addison.
yeah, that's at the end. Yeah, so
With
yeah,
no
yeah,
leap out.
yeah. Well, yeah, that is what I wanted to say. So she had this whole, she found out about the ring. She told him that she found out about the ring, and then he's going through this whole thing, and he's going to get down on one knee, and she's like, yes. She just interrupts him. I'm like, gee, us guys, we have this whole thing planned out. You just kind of ruin that for him. That's what I'm thinking. Like, I'm like, you made it easy, but at the same point, it's like, man, you had this whole speech you were going to give to her, and it's just like, oh well.
Yeah, the whole thing kind of fell flat for me on that
Mhm.
end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those
All
characters.
because
are
she was
just,
trying to find Caraway.
Oh yeah,
Sure.
the spice. Yeah. uh, I guess before we really wrap up with everything, I will say that I think I don't know what I wanted to say necessarily about with Hannah, but I was just like I wondered how they were going to, like, because we've talked about that she keeps moving forward in her life, and Mike, you talked about how like maybe there's something that's going to be out of sequence or something. Do we think there's going to be something where he's going to show up at an earlier point in her life and then try to warn her, and something with quantum entanglement, like maybe she'll remember something and it will lead into, I don't even know if I'm making any sense now.
It could be. Next episode is 1950s, 53, I think.
Yeah, the next episode is 1953. So, and that's if she's showing up again, which I can't imagine she shows up again. But if she did, it would be out of sequence for her.
Yes.
So
right.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to be too confusing for the audience. I don't know.
It would end up being her second date and his fifth date.
Right.
I can
Here's
see
a
him maybe
random
like
idea.
trying to leave a message for her or something. Like, don't open this until
Message in a bottle.
1970.
Right.
The whole Back to the Future thing. Well, even Quantum Leap did it. Yeah. Don't
Quantum
open
Leap
this
did it,
letter
yeah.
until September the 18th, 1999.
Yeah.
Delete back.
Right. I had a crazy theory because I think I saw some people maybe posting on some of the Facebook groups and stuff that like, well, what if the next time he encounters Hannah, he leaps into a woman? How's that going to work? But here's an idea. What if he leaps into Hannah? What if maybe there's something like he leaps back to an earlier it's kind of going back to this whole chicken and the egg thing. What happened first in the timelines? What if he leaped into her? Maybe does this have something to do with the 3-year gap? And maybe at some point in those 3 years, something happened that he forgot about. And maybe he leaped into Hannah and she remembers that because she was quantum entangled with Ben. And maybe that's why they're drawn to each other. Is that I don't know. Is that a weird theory? It's probably so out
they
there.
dig it.
I have no idea. It just seems like they're kind of making up some
That
stuff
actually
now.
would be really kind of interesting compared to the storyline that they're going to.
It would be interesting, I think. I don't know if they think that's going to be too complicated or what, because that would also explore what happens to the people that he leaps into and what exactly they remember. Because I don't know. Anyway, well, Mike, you usually bring up the songs. We kind of talked about it before, but
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
it's all right. If you already discussed it, have you done any nitpicks or say what's yet?
No, I don't think so.
No.
That's usually Brian's thing, I think.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I can do that whenever.
Yeah.
Because I've got some if Brian doesn't have.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Go ahead, Brian.
All right, I just had, a couple times during the episode, Ian finds out some urgent things that Ben needs to know, and we know that anyone can just leap in, to the imaging chamber, pardon the pun, but instead they go and wait to get Addison. So I don't know why. I guess
they need you. She's his hologram. She's supposed to be the hologram.
Well, they can all do it.
I know. We literally had like a not that I want to bring up that episode again. I don't want to bring up that episode again that we all didn't like, but like everybody and their mother were a hologram in that episode. So it's like,
yeah, if something's
which one we're
important,
talking about.
Just get in there.
Yeah.
And then another thing, you got the criminals coming to the house and they know it. So Hannah tells, Josh to take Jeffrey, and basically go upstairs, right? But why didn't she just tell him to leave? Like, get the kid out of there.
Yeah.
That would have made more sense.
That didn't make a lot of sense. In the basement, they're trying to put water on the floor, and she says, we still need another inch of water. Well, looking at the surface area of that basement floor, that would have taken like 2 hours.
Yeah.
But, it happened in like 10 minutes maybe. And then, you can kind of see Elena's shoes on the water, and it's a very thin layer. So probably, even though rock salt actually does conduct electricity in water, science, that's great. They got that right this time.
Yes,
but that little tiny bit of water probably wouldn't have sent them flying like it did. So those are my what ifs.
Well, related to the rock salt. Well, that's where I'd like to pick up from. So the bag she had said ice melt. Now we know ice melt is made with rock salt and some other things, but it really didn't start being packaged like that until the late 80s, early 90s.
Oh,
and the way that was written on there, it certainly looked like it was from the 2010s. Like that was not a packaging that rock salt would have come in 1970. That really irritated me. That really irritated me.
If you're gonna leap in the past, make everything in the past.
Make it accurate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And another thing that didn't happen until the 80s was the term power couple. I forget who said it now, but someone said, "Oh, you're a real power couple."
Oh.
But It
Okay.
didn't exist until, well, it was first published in 1983, according to Newsweek.
Oh,
That was not a
okay.
term that people used in 1970. And they've done this
Okay.
before, where they use modern vernacular well before it's been established in popular culture. It'd be
Yeah.
fine if Ben said it, but it was another character who said it.
Somebody else, some native
Yeah.
said it. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
So we know how Sam said things like junk food and microwave oven and whatever in the past.
Yeah.
And people were like, what are you talking about? And then we assume that was the invention that Sam ran in the past. But in this case, it's people from the time period using phrases well into the future. And I know it seems nitpicky, but every time it takes me out of the moment because I go, wait a minute, that doesn't sound like a 1970s phrase.
Right, yeah.
It's something that was invented on the internet in 2010.
I got one more.
Go ahead. Sorry.
One more date thing
go ahead,
is, what's his name? Kevin says, "Oh, I have an overactive bladder," and I looked that term up. That term wasn't a thing until 1988.
Oh, okay.
All right, there you go. I had a question about the Greyhound. It was pretty cool that they had an old Greyhound bus. Not that I could identify the year of the coach itself, but is there really such thing as first class on a Greyhound bus?
I was wondering that myself. I don't know.
My wife and I both looked at each other and said, "Do Greyhound buses have first class?" Like,
yeah,
I've certainly ridden one and don't remember there being a first class section on a bus.
Yeah. You know, it's one thing
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know. That was one thing I wanted to bring up in my notes that just going off topic for a minute was when the car exploded and the little debris fell in front. Has everybody here seen Lost? And anybody reminded of the pilot when the thing crashed in front of Charlie and he's like, I don't know if that was an intentional nod or what. It just dropped right in front of him. That was the first thing that popped in my mind. I just wanted to bring that up because I forgot about it. But
I saw that in your notes, and I actually went back and watched that moment to see what you were referring to.
Yeah, I was kind of writing the notes on the fly, and I'm like, it was like right after we got another car explosion. Like we got another explosion earlier in the season. It was like, but I guess they were just trying to be funny. I don't know if that was like an intentional nod or whatever. Anyway.
It actually reminded me of Back to the Future with just the license plate showing.
Oh, when okay. Right.
Sorry, I was going to say, if anyone watching has experience with Greyhound riding first class, let us know in the comments.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'd like to know if that's a real thing or not.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. All right. I guess we should start wrapping up. Any final thoughts? Anything else we could think of that we want to bring up?
There was one thing that I saw that keeps popping up is how Addison keeps watching from the project monitor.
Oh, yeah.
And no matter what's going on, Ben knows that he's being watched.
Does he?
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, he does. Don't you remember?
Because sometimes he's
from
talking
that
to
episode that we shall not talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, because sometimes it's almost like he's looking directly at the camera, at the person he thinks that he's talking to. Like somehow there's a camera and he knows exactly where that person is, so that he can look at them. Because
I could get behind the camera being in the imaging chamber, but how would he know where it is at any given moment?
Right. Right.
He doesn't, but it's always on his face.
Right. Yeah.
Well, maybe that's the thing. It just moves with him. No matter where he's looking, that's the camera.
Exactly. They want to see the back of his head while he's crying.
Yeah. While he's crying. Just like
God.
poor.
Did you talk about the reference to A Christmas Story?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the
Shoot
BB
your
gun.
eye out with
Yeah,
that
yeah.
You really
And
will
then
shoot
someone
your eye
did.
out with that thing. When
Yeah.
when he shot her in the eye with that gun, I laughed so hard.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. Okay. So we have nothing else. Are we done? Basically, I think.
I think so.
There was
Like-
one
yeah,
other
like we
movie
said, there's no
reference
leap
for
out.
me. I don't know if it's. Sorry, I seem to have a really bad lag. I don't mean to keep talking over.
Oh, it's okay. It's fine. Oh no, it's fine.
I
It's
was
fine.
saying
It's
there's
fine. Go ahead.
one other movie reference for me. I don't know if any of you are familiar with it. Does anybody remember the Chipmunk Adventure? It
think
was
so.
the Alvin and the
Not sure.
Chipmunks movie from like 1980 whatever. And that whole movie was about like they're looking for stolen diamonds, and the diamonds turn out to be inside of their dolls that they're carrying the whole time. So when they pulled the diamonds out of those teddy bears, like
Okay.
that was just
Okay.
brought me right there.
Look at this! Diamonds! Open a chipmunk doll. There must be thousands of dollars in each of these.
Oh, okay.
That's cool. What's that called?
Yeah.
The Chipmunk Adventure?
Yeah.
I think that's what she said. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Chipmunk Adventure. Oh, okay. I didn't catch that. That's a little bit too. I think I was a little too young for that. It's like that's at that point where I don't quite remember early '80s or whatever. Okay, so I mean, so like we said, there's no leap out to the next one, which we already talked about that before. We don't like that. I feel like we've gotten more episodes this season with no leap outs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like we have 4 more episodes left. Why can't you just give us? I don't understand why they can't. I don't know why they're doing that. Just something. And we said I think it's the family. It's called the Family Treasure.
Maybe it has something to do with it. They can't think of how to merge it all together.
The next episode is called The Family Treasure. As we said, it takes place in 1953, so we'll see if or how Hannah's involved. I don't think she will be. Shakina supposedly is writing the next one, too. That's the one that the one who did Let Them Play.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
I know casting calls went out for that. I don't know what kind of story we're getting. But anyway, that's the next episode. So yeah, so before we go, Mike, you want to just we could talk about what we wanted to try to do with this channel, because we're basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this channel for people, and so what do we want to do for the fandom entanglement thing, basically?
Well, we're looking at going beyond Quantum Leap, right? So
Right. Yeah.
we want to make a channel for all of our all of our fandom enjoyments. So we are currently enjoying Fandom Entanglement Quantum Leap, and we would like to branch off into, well, Sliders is going to be our next project, and
Yeah.
and we'll go from there. But yeah, there's a lot of sci-fi that we enjoy together and want to share our opinions, I guess, with everybody.
Yeah. I figure we could try to branch this off into getting other people involved. I kind of mentioned it to Brian about Masters of the Universe. Maybe me and him, I don't know. Maybe me and him will do something with that. I don't know. That all depends. So just keep an eye out for that, everybody. That everything should remain the same, but the channel will be different. We're working on the website and everything, so I just wanted to get that out there. So anyway, thank you for joining us, Stacy. I am sorry we had so many issues.
Oh,
So
thank you so much
hopefully-
for inviting me on.
Yeah, hopefully in the editing process it won't be too bad. Just tell everybody where they can find you. If they want to get in touch with you.
You can find me on Twitter, X, Instagram, and Threads at TVN Coupon Talk. And of course, you can find me on the Corman Productions Deep Dive TV podcast.
Yeah, and you also you moderate the Quantum Leap 2022 Facebook group, right?
Yes.
So
if you're not in that group, definitely head over there. We focus mostly on the new show, but a little bit of chat about the original series as well.
Yep. All right, and hopefully we could do this again. We don't know yet if there's going to be a third season. I think it seems pretty. I don't know. It feels like I probably will, but I'll get into that more the next time. I don't know how this. We don't know how the season's gonna end. I'll bring it up the next time because I don't want to get off a tangent. How we think the season's gonna end. So anyway, so thank you again, Stacy. Okay, I've been Damon, Brian, MJ, Mike, Stacy. We'll see you guys next time. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.